I always mess up the intro. Shit. All right, good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on the time that you're watching this. Blah. All right, welcome to the industry. As you know, we talk about everything and anything that concerns the entertainment industry, but our major focus is TV and film. And we've got a guest in the studio. Fine boy. Yeah, fine boy.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
in my past.
In your what?
In my past.
In your past. No, you're still pretty. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you are.
Yeah. So we have Chuka Ejorh. Am I correct?
Yes,
Chuka.
very correct.
Say, we need to be adding applause in this thing.
I think it's the editor.
I didn't pay.
I know what he's thinking.
Okay.
He doesn't.
I'm the guy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I like the way he talks to me. No, get the fuck out of my podcast. Alright, I'm sorry. So, Chuka, welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, just
you.
I was like, I have to have like, you know, some of the best in the industry, like the best. Like, I'm going to read Chuka's resume, but that's
He's resumed.
It's resumed. Thank God, this guy resuming things. But anyway, yeah, Chuka has a very impressive, you know, resume. But we'll get into that. As usual, we do like this monologue thing that we talk about stuff that has happened during the week. Hobbs and Shaw.
Yes.
Chuka, have you watched Hobbs and Shaw?
I haven't seen it. I feel like I'm not gonna have much to say, but I'll try to say something.
Oh, okay.
I've heard things about it. I mean,
Good things, bad things.
Good things, bad things.
just it's a mix, really. I mean, I don't know. Like, I want to know where you guys are going with this.
So let me
Yeah.
no,
What angle?
I got this. Yo,
You first.
Dodo. Too much Dodo in that movie. Look,
Oh, yeah.
see my favorite scene. Where
Some people haven't seen this movie.
okay, but no, it's in the trailer.
Okay.
So it's in the trailer. So there's this scene where they're driving in this fast car, and then Idris Elba is chasing them on this bike. So there's this trailer that's passing, you know, as usual. You know, they drive under the trailer. You know, like as you know, good move. Idris Elba comes down from his bike, you know, slides under the trailer with the bike. Then the bike now comes up, then he now goes on top of the bike and continues. Like, which kind of, why? What are you trying to sell to us? Are you mad? Who do you think you are? No, wait, this is
They
rubbish.
have to go to the next level after
Is it
Fast
good?
and Furious.
You know, but personally, I thought it was enjoyable. I think I thought it was one of those ridiculous summer blockbusters. You know those blockbusters where you're like, but it's okay. Yeah, I think we enjoy the movie. It's alright.
That's what they're for.
That's
What they're for. Just enjoy the summer and forget them.
Yeah.
I have a completely contrary view to Mr. Omokwe. I thought the film was deep. I thought it had so much twists and turns. I'm joking.
I was about to say,
Which movie are
what?
No, it was a bar. It was my mind. It was hot water. It was a one product. You know, that's it.
That's
Wham
what
bam,
they are.
we're
That's
done.
what
We
they
know
are.
the end from the beginning.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I agree. It was enjoyable. You know, you watch it and just like I love it. But yeah.
It's enjoyable for the moment, and then next week you're going to forget about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but
Okay, maybe next month you forget about it.
like Tyrese is upset.
making money.
No. So Tyrese is like, you
Oh, yeah,
know,
'cause-
180 million isn't Fast and Furious good franchise opening or whatever that bullshit he said. Guys
He's
just
been
he's-
upset for a while.
Yeah, he's beefing, but anyway, it's all good. But anyway, I have Fast and Furious. What now? I've lost count.
I've lost count. I think 9. I imagine it's
Man,
between
2020. But yeah. Anyway, so moving on to why we're here in the first place. Yeah. So first of all, let me tell you who Chuka is. Some people may say that he's an editor, but I would say he's a post-production guru. Yes. Let me tell you why. Hey, God. Jesus. So let me read his resume. You know, his bio. His bio. Shit. Chuka Ejorh has 14 years. Okay, let me adjust. 14 years working as an editor and director on some of the biggest TV shows, drama series, documentaries, and award-winning short films in South Africa and Nigeria, such as Big Brother, Idols, The Apprentice, Tinsel, Face of Africa, Road to Yesterday, The Encounter, Hush, South Africa's Music Awards, Miss Essay, and is regarded as one of the top 3 editors in Nigeria. Please, what are the remaining 2? They want to know in this podcast. You tell us in this podcast.
I just imagine that they should be there. You know, it's easier to say top 3 than to say top.
So which number are you?
Just somewhere there.
Somewhere. Okay. So Chuka also organizes a monthly art house film screening event, Film Sundays, which we should check out, by the way. You still do that, right?
Yeah.
with the sole aim of showcasing art house cinema from all over the world to the Nigerian public and helping develop an art house cinema culture in the process. Now, Chuka's...
No, we're gonna... So we're gonna stop. So I didn't know. James scrolled and I saw the number of pages on this CV. I think it's just going. I was like, no. So if you want to see Chuka's resume...
No, you can't even show it.
Go Google it. I'm sure it's somewhere. His name just keep popping up. I'm sure it's on Wikipedia at this rate.
Website.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
See, so...
We'll put it in the link.
link.
We'll put the link. But I noticed that intro leads me to a very interesting first question. Yeah. So you're big on promotion of art house cinema. What is art house cinema?
What is art house cinema? I would say it is more experimental cinema. They are understandably then more independent because experimental, I mean, brands will not really want to. So you'll find that most art house films are independent films, you know, and so many times you'd say people always think art house and independent, you know, are the same. Art house films are almost always independent. Okay. Independent films can also always be anything else. They don't have to be art house. You know, so art house really is experimental. Interesting. Yeah.
So basically, that's like those movies that the suits would tell you, no,
we
don't want this. No,
they're not Hobbs and Shaw. They're the opposite of Hobbs and Shaw.
It's deep. You guys know.
You know what I mean of Hobbs? Look. Okay. Yeah, so, but like, what is the scene like? Because, I mean, I hear a lot of art house guys. Like, I know, forgive me if I'm ignorant, I'm really sorry, but I know guys like Abba. What's this other guy? It's my friend, Jesus. How can I? CJ. Thank you. Please, CJ. I'm sorry in case I remember. So him, CJ. There's this other guy. He has this funny Shotokan name. I can't remember, but they do stuff like that. Yeah. What is the scene like? Do people really appreciate these things? Like, do people actually just come through? Because I won't lie to you. Look, I was in a room one day and I was talking to some guy. And we're talking about film. It wasn't even art house stuff, but I was just like, we need to go back, do some, films like, Passport of Malam Ila, we need to recreate all that stuff. And while we were having this conversation, there were two girls in the room. So, because the guy wanted to finance some stuff. And then the girls are like, no, comedy is what says, that's what we like to watch. I'm like, shit. So, I mean, I know that there are lots of Nigerians that probably don't get those deep meanings in the films and stuff like that. How do you cope with that? What's the scene like, basically?
I think the scene it's growing. It is growing because people are getting interested in it. Of course, I started doing this thing in 2015. And when it started, you'd find that it was mostly expatriates. So people who, either worked with like the American embassy or the Polish embassy and wanting something to, go and see because they're used to that culture. So we had a lot of those people. But then, I mean, the aim really is for the Nigerian audience, right? And so, you're finding, people that are coming to watch it. The last one we had was last month, July. And it was a film called Run. It's based in Côte d'Ivoire. And it was a very art house film. And some people, left. Like stylishly.
They're waiting for the action. Everyone like, so when are they going to propose? Where's Jim Ike? What's going on?
Is this still the trailer?
Some people stylishly left, and some people also. Well, I mean, it was the conversations afterwards are always the most interesting aspects. We try not to show too deep art house films because it's still a process, so we're trying to just do it gradually, slowly but surely, but then I just went to Run and just hit people like surprisingly. Some people left, but lots of people stayed, which was also very good, and we had conversations afterwards about it, so it is growing. That's all I can say. It is growing. We're not going to get, like thousands of people come to watch it. It's not, it's the genre, it's the way it is, but then you get people who, you don't have to love it, but then maybe on one Sunday you just want to see something different.
Yeah, it's like an acquired taste.
You come and see it. You don't have to love it. You don't have to be, like a regular, visitor. No. Just if you want to see it, you see it.
Okay. Okay. Next question. So the thing is, I mean, you work like very much. You do a lot of TV stuff.
Yeah.
Now, there's the regular editor who takes all his footage, puts it in his computer, uses Adobe Premiere, CS5, like me, CS6. I don't want to grow. I don't know, and just does his thing, and that's it. And everybody thinks that this is what it takes to edit.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of people will tell you, it's not just put one thing together. And but there's a process, and I know fully well, what that process takes like, because doing TV, even. There's really not much difference between doing TV and film. It's almost, you're using the same amount of people and the same amount of team. The only difference is that you're delivering, quickly and stuff.
Yeah.
But what is the process? Because you see, there are a lot of people that really don't know all the intricate parts and things about, editing. And I also want you to touch on, your entire process or even when it gets to the offline, online, all these things. Because I do remember I was somewhere and I was like, oh, so when we make stuff, you finish cutting it and then there's the offline process. Somebody's like, what's an offline editor? I was like, so process, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me give a typical, just one example. So something is shot, let's say a TV series, right? It has been shot. Ideally, for a film and for TV commercials, when we do those, there would usually be a person on set, a DIT, person, who checks and makes sure that all of the shots, are the way the director wants them, and the way, editing will make it, that will make editing easier. So basically making sure that the shots are not soft, the colors are balanced, because if they're not, then, ideally you'd reshoot them. But most of the time, that doesn't really happen. So you'd get, the stuff just as it's been shot in the studio. There is a digitizer. Now, a digitizer, the word, it came from when we're still in the analog age, and that's why it's called digitizer. A digitizer then really was when you take the tape or the film and put it on your system, basically digitize it, make it digital. But then now,
let me say something about that. So for those of you who didn't know, remember those days, like, so when you shoot a 3-hour wedding, right? There's this thing called capturing.
Capturing.
So you literally play the tape for 3 hours just to put it on your system.
And then whatever output you had to play it out and watch it. Basically you wouldn't just export. You'd play it out. Onto your beta cam tips. But anyway, so the digitizer, would digitize. Basically sorting out all of the clips. They would shoot different clips and different, takes, different angles, sort all of them out. Most of the time, sync them up, different cameras and the audio, sync them up. Depending on the genre, there would be a logger. A logger would, basically make logs of whatever kind of shot it is. When I remember working on South African Idols, the logger would, if we had, so each contestant had a number, so the logger would go through all of the clips. That process would happen for like 2 months. Go through each of the clips, so everywhere you had, let's say, because we already would know who was in the top 10, right? So we had to go to all of the clips from the auditions phase. So they'll take all of the clips where, this contestant, James, was in, but then it would be based on the number. So number 00152. And so everywhere there's 00152, you're logging that. 00152 walking down the road. 00152, shaking hands with his father. 00152. So basically, when I then want to edit, and I just type 00152, I have everything that has to do with, James. And so I'm not trying to look through, basically it has been logged, everything is there. Yeah. And so the logger,
is the digitizer like really well paid? Because I'd lose my mind if the senior editor walked in. I was like, I can't find this guy in the bathroom, and the digitizer just looks at you like, are you mad? do you know how many?
It is the job. It is, you start from somewhere, right? Most of the time, I digitized. I spent quite, a lot of time before I became an editor digitizing and doing that. And so it's good because you go through the processes. And speaking about process, right? Understanding all of those things makes you appreciate them more. Absolutely. And then knowing exactly what is expected of every different, So so the digitizer logger would do that. And then you would have the offline editing phase.
That's the one that we used to have.
Yeah.
It was offline.
So the offline and online editing, again, that had to do with the analog era. When you would, especially with film, when you would bring it onto your computer, it's not the film quality. It's been downgraded. And so it's offline. you know, you're just editing for editing's sake, just to make the story. And then only when you reprocess it to the actual high quality, every other phase from that point is online because you're working online. But then every phase, you know, when you've converted it is offline. And so nowadays, you know, let's say we shoot 6K red. You will work with proxies. That's offline. You're offline editing. Only when, you know, you have already reconnected to your 6K quality, then all of those phases is online. So you're doing your titles, you're resizing, you know, the image. You've pretty much done the story, you know, but then, you know, maybe, you know, the shot is soft, you know, and then you're sharpening it, you know, the color, you know, they're not balancing. So you balance the colors. All of those processes are the online phase. So the offline really is where you do your story. You edit everything and make sure that it's picture lock, you know, then you can, you know, convert to, you know, the online phase.
I just want to, before you move on, again, why it's important with this process is that a lot of people, again, they don't know the process and then they make things harder.
Yeah.
So I used to tell some people that, look, so here's the first process, especially with suits. I have a rule, never show suits and offline cuts because they never understand.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Because the thing is, but I mean, watch the story for story's sake.
Yeah.
No, I want to see the flying car. I want to see everything happening. I want to see and I'm like, okay, no problem. So when we do the final thing, they're like, no, take this scene out. And I'm like, so, you know, I also want you to reiterate how important it is, especially, you know, that offline and online cut. Because, again, we always say, don't watch offline cuts. Like, I'd rather, you know, either the producer, the executive producer, or whatever, somebody who's not really a suit who understands everything.
Yes.
Watches it and he's like, oh yeah, I understand the story, but just reiterate to us how important it is so that when we get to that online stage, we don't, because it's like going back to the very beginning. You have to, cut this out. Oh, they didn't say one line here, so you have to go back and final mix again and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, it can be, of course, you will always have, you know, those clients that will always take you back. You know, it's just the way it is. You know, but it is hell when you've then gone from your offline phase to the online phase, and then, you know, you kind of have to go back to the offline phase. Yeah. Many productions do different things to try to make the offline phase look as close to the online phase as possible. Now, there's some colleagues of mine actually two people that I know in South Africa who, their jobs, they are dailies colorists. And so everything that is shot in the daily, they color it because a lot has been created even before the shoot has started. And so basically you are coloring every single shot. It doesn't matter if it's a good take or bad take. You're coloring everything, making sure that they all balance. You know, then the editors, you know, work. But then you're working with the proxies. It's the offline phase. Because all of that is still going to then be removed for the grading process. But it's so that the clients, as they're seeing the dailies, they're already seeing what it will look like. Almost in the final. Yeah. So that already, you know, producers always then will try and find a way to make the client feel like it is the end product. Yeah. When I do TV commercials, I do a lot of TV commercials. When I do TV commercials, you know, even though we're not doing the color grading, you know, we would do the edit and then put just a lot, you know, just so that it looks close to finished. It's not the final thing, but then it just to help the suits because I can't remember where I read or heard about it. You know, the thing is they're confused. You know,
okay, I'm logging out of this podcast.
They're confused because they're under pressure. They're confused because they want whatever it is to sell, and they don't know what the audience exactly wants. Nobody really knows. You know, you can guess, but you don't know, and so that's why they will always change their minds. They'll change their minds every 5 minutes, and so really, your job is really to just try and unconfuse them. Yeah. You know, they're confused. It's not like they want to do bad. It's not like they want to make your life horrible. They're just confused. And so what I just try to do with my work, you know, just to try to make sure that they feel it is close to finish as possible, even though there's so many other processes after the offline phase.
Interesting. So you bring up a good point about satisfying the suits, which these guys keep calling the executive people that pay all our salaries. Guys, that's not me. The suits, right? And it is important because the client is technically always right? Yeah. But has there been a scenario where in a bid to satisfy the suit, you did something you shouldn't have done, and maybe give me an example of either your personal project and something you've seen today, whether a movie or TV, that you would edit or do differently from what it is?
Oh, let me try to remember.
Yeah,
I mean, it happens all the time.
We didn't prep you for this question. Right?
It happens, it happens all the time. I'm just trying to remember a specific project so I can give specific, stories for that. Anyway, it happens all the time. I mean, there are many times, you, especially with TV commercials. I mean, that is honestly that you work in a TV commercial and you make an edit and it is amazing, and everyone's like, oh yes, this is great, yes. The next thing you know, in the next 4 weeks, there's been so many changes, so many chops and changes, and back and forth, and then they send it to the executive director, and then he's like, no, we need to change this. Oh, why is this person wearing blue? Blue is the color of our
competitor.
And so everywhere that person is, it's no longer, you can't use it anymore, and those are probably like the best shots you have. And so then, then goes to the MD, and then it's like, oh, no, the story is completely wrong. Why do we have that? And then it is completely different and watered down, and it's just like, what is this? You actually just look at what is this? But then because it's been so many processes, you're kind of exhausted also, and you're like, what? Yeah, it's actually not my project, and just
it's okay.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, so you're just like, what? It's your product, right? I've edited it, pay me, and then we just go. But then they're the ones that you're more passionate about, and then you fight, and then It happens all the time.
So that's client side. So how about a movie you've seen now or a TV show you've seen now that you would like to edit differently?
Dun, dun, dun. I'm looking at my producer now. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, let me put it this way.
I can't even mention this because I got tackled on Twitter last week. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Let me tackle you. So if you're afraid of name calling, just sort of give us the ballpark. So there's this TV show that's something. There's just this TV show that goes this way.
In Nigeria,
I'd rather do it this way. It can be Kuala Lumpur. I don't care.
What I will do is I will even just keep it personal so that I will talk about projects I have worked on. Yeah.
Coward.
No, because even on my part, there are quite a number of things. I would talk about two feature films. One is Bling Lagosians. I edited that, so I can talk about it.
Right,
there's no issue with that.
Okay.
I mean, there are certain things that I will do differently. And there are certain things that the director she would. The thing is just things come up in Nigeria that you just cannot control. It is I can't understand it. I cannot explain it, but things just pop up that you can't explain and you cannot understand. I mean, I would have done the story, the end especially, differently. And I mean, she knows this, so it's not even a thing. The other film, that I worked on, wrote yesterday, I would have made it like 20 minutes shorter. And again, the director knows this, so I don't hide this from them. Okay. It's what I think, it's what I feel. But I mean, you kind of have to make 90 minutes. I felt like it probably dragged,
Could have been much shorter.
So those I would do differently.
It dragged. I'm saying it now. I'm saying my mind. Yo.
James won't be on Twitter this week. He'll just be avoiding. I'm not feeling well. Posting those weak ass.
But again, the reason I can say these things about those two films is because I love both directors, and so I mean, they know how I feel. I know how they feel.
This happens a lot, though.
I mean,
sometimes
it's fine.
From a good place. Exactly.
It's fine to not agree on something.
It's okay. Which is why, white folks who have a Blu-ray that has like a ton of things. Like they say, most of that stuff is what the director didn't agree with. I want my director's cut, and this guy wants a fan cut. And we all have versions, deleted scenes, put it in there, and people go back and debate, why wasn't this in the movie? This would have made a good movie. But the business makes a call.
Actually, I even think that another thing about doing TV is that you get less and less emotional about your work. Yeah. And there are times when, you have this scene, you have to leave an episode that's 24 minutes long, but the episode is what?
30.
Like 30 minutes. And like, you know that you were there when they were shooting this mad scene, and then you're asking yourself, do I take this thing out or not? And sometimes you don't want to, which is, I'm sure, which happened in
which is why I never go on set, and I easily just cut out scenes. Like, I have no remorse.
No, but you know the thing? It's harder, especially, so for instance, like on the shows that we've done, most of the times I direct the show. I direct some of those episodes. Yeah. And there are times when, like, I remember the last show that we did, like there was this, the final episode that was like 1 hour, but that thing was overrunning. And there were scenes where I'm like, "Argh!" But I'm like,
took
you know what? Go.
It took you 8 hours to
Like, you know,
shoot.
yeah, goodbye. You know, it taught me how to not be emotional.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, because there are directors that will come and be like, we shot this scene. I did it like this. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, sorry, but you know,
It didn't make the
yeah,
cut.
yeah. No, that's why I don't go on set. You know, so I don't know how long it took you to shoot.
set up and
You know, all I know is this doesn't work, this works, so this one that doesn't
It will
work
beat
is
you.
going out. Oh no, I mean, yeah, there are many. I mean, especially for the TV series, I work, many of the writers hate me.
Maybe we can't just took outside.
You know,
Maybe we can't just took
I mean,
outside.
yeah, of
Let
course.
this guy on the mat.
No, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I attended a screening. Okay, I won't be like James. I won't mention the name. I attended a pre-screening of the movie. We're sitting there, and I was seated between, you know, the director, the DOP, the really technical guys. The editor was in front, so they could see him. So the guy was like, "I'm just gonna use James." See James' head. See James' head. He's telling me this big head doesn't know the difference between a good scene and bad scene. And DOP jumped in. So I had to leave because I knew they were gonna kick him once it was done. And it was a big row actually that day outside the pre-screening hall.
No,
I mean, it happens.
Yeah, I feel you. Like again, during one of those shows that we did, they did the special effects girl did this really complicated special effects scene. Like, it was really like, this girl was proud of her scene. Bisoye was like, I knew there was going to be an issue. So the thing, we used to watch the show after shoots, like all the crew members. I was just at the back. Episode finished. This is the episode now. The scene didn't come out. I'm like, yep, I cut it out. This girl, she almost didn't talk to me for like 2 days. I'm like, well, welcome to TV.
That's the way it happens.
That's the way it has to go.
Especially for TV, like the director and the DP, they're not as the most important thing. Is just the story. In fact, the duration is probably more important than the story.
I'm telling you, man.
Delivery is the most important thing, and then duration, then your story.
Yeah.
Because it is better for the channel if something is on air than for nothing to be on air because you're trying to make it perfect. And so just have to get it out there. And so many times, you know, you have a 30-minute, you know, episode, like you have to make 24 minutes, 6 minutes. I mean, in editing world, 1 minute is a lot.
It's a lot,
of
like,
time.
you know, like, even
It
when you're
is
like,
a lot
you know,
of
the thing that's
time.
annoying me. When you're like, okay, let me just cut from here to here. Next thing, bah,
2 seconds.
3 seconds. I'm like,
Yeah. It is a lot of time. And so many times you're just like, okay, you know what my strategy really, in fact, maybe I shouldn't, well, anyway, because I still do a lot of this thing. My strategy is I go to the script, I read the script, and I go to the previous episode and in the next episode, I'm like, this story actually doesn't go beyond this next episode, and I cut it out. As long as it's a story that just doesn't go far enough, I cut it out. So mini stories are the first things I attack. The comic stories, because it's structured, right?
Yeah.
There's always the comic aspect, and that the comic ones are also the ones I go for because
Like
you
the story,
can
like
kind
the
of do
story,
without
yeah,
them.
yeah.
You know, they're just there, you know, to kind of, you know, but then as long as it does not go beyond 2 episodes in terms of the story, I cut it out.
Okay, so
Writers hate me, but you know,
you
it's-
think is your address public? Editor is walking up and down. So could you just
Yeah,
we're gonna
so,
have to roll it next one. We talk about this all evening, but
So my question, I was gonna ask 2 questions.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can roll 2 of them in
yeah,
one.
sure.
One of them is, what are the common mistakes that, and you know, every like Greenhorn or every other editor, let me not even say Greenhorn because
Yeah.
that you made,
Yeah.
and then basically, what are your go-to tools, you know, for editing? basically?
Okay. Common mistakes editors make. I had it just now, and it just got out of my head.
not scripting your podcast.
Yes,
Wow.
producer, script my podcast.
I had it right now. Common mistakes that editors make. I honestly had it right now. Okay, I would give an example of something. This is not necessarily, but it will come to me as I'm saying this. I created. This is technical anyway. I created a project. I was working on Big Brother Nigeria. That was 2006 or 7. One of those years. 2006, I think. That was the first Big Brother Nigeria. And yeah, I created a project, but then I created it in 24 frames per second instead of 25 frames per second. Now, it didn't seem like it was a big deal, you know, so yeah, I edited the whole thing, you know, all the execs came and watched it. Oh, it's great. Okay, now we have to send it to the sound guy to do the final mix, and then we can put it on air tomorrow morning. And we had complications. It just couldn't work. And this was from like 6 p.m. that day till 8 a.m. the next day. We were still trying to figure it out. You know, the engineers, everyone, you're just trying to figure it out. It just couldn't work. And then basically that episode was meant to go on air at 10 a.m. the next morning. It couldn't go on air. And in fact, as I got home, I was then just typing, you know, an email to resign, a resignation email. but then, I mean, it was a big deal. But I guess maybe because, you know, I was also quite young, you know, and so, you know, they didn't, you know, like attack me so much, you know. So that I learned from that. Always make sure that, you know, everything is in sync, you know. Your project, what are you shooting on? Find out all of these things from the director and from the DP. 24, what frame size, you know, all of those things, so that you create your project and everything is in sync. I would say other common mistakes editors make is trying to like make a final cut when you are still in the early stage, you know, and it has come to me. It has come to me. I knew it would come to me. Is not watching all of your rushes. It is. Okay, so I get very, very, very upset with indiscipline, and that is just a sign of indiscipline in an editor. If you cannot watch all of your rushes, the director has done his own work. The DP, cameramen have done their work. Everybody else has done their own work. You should do your own work. You should watch all the rushes, because if you just watch a few, all you're going to do is just edit based on that small perspective that you have. But then they've given you so much more. I mean, and you learn that especially with doing TV commercials, because there's some random shots, like many times outtake, like maybe when we're just actually waiting for it to roll, there is some look that just works as a reaction for something else, and you'll actually just steal that, and it will just work with everything. But you cannot have that if you don't watch everything. And so a big mistake editors make is they don't watch all their rushes, which is complete disrespect to the director and the DP. You should watch all your rushes, and to the actors, because you need to get the best out of them. You're re-scripting, you know, especially, okay, if it's film, you're re-scripting the whole thing, and you're making the actor look as good as they can look. Because many times, I mean, if you see some films and the actor is amazing, it's the editor that has, you know, made them do a good job. So you can only do that if you watch everything, and just get the best out of everything.
Okay. Come on, go to tools.
Go to tools for editing on the go.
Absolutely.
Are you talking about technically, like in Avid, you know?
Yeah, like so what, like
even
so
hardware wise.
Yeah, even hardware wise, because even like what's your like basic setup? Like your for you, what's like
it's
your
finding like trade secrets.
It's not very basic.
Yeah, because people always ask for very, you know, weird things. So I need like a, you know, P2 pop something with something.
I mean, I'm not. I would say I'm not a very technical person, to be honest with you. In the sense that the system I'm using, I've been using it for 3 years, and I'm not going to change it until it dies. You know, so like I don't really.
Do you build your own systems?
Well, it was the trash can, but then, you know, just updated, you know, just upgraded a couple of things, you know, the RAM, you know, and the video RAM and all of that. Just upgraded that to make sure that it's. So I would say I didn't build it, I just upgraded it. Yeah. You know, go-to tools. I don't know if this answer is going to be in line with that, but I find that with editing, and especially if you're working with a client, it is extremely important, you know, that they don't feel that you are editing. I mean, already, you know, your film, your final stuff, your audience should not feel that there was any editing. That's like a rule, you know, because it should just be smooth. It should be smooth. But even when working with your client, you know, they should feel that if they ask for something, just a few, you know, clicks, and then it's done. And you can only really know that and get to that point when you immerse yourself really in that stuff that you're doing. Yeah. Make sure that you create your I have shortcuts, and so I pretty much mostly use my fingers. I hardly use
me too. Like,
you know, and so I know that I just, you know, press some things and, you know, this happens, you know. So that, I think that at least is one of the biggest advantages that I have, you know, when with my clients, because they know whatever it is they're thinking, you know, as they're just about to finish, you know, their sentence, you know, I've done it, you know, that just makes you know, working easier, because then they know, the client already knows that, okay, whatever it is I want to achieve with this thing, I can achieve. And if it's not achieved, it is not because, you know, there were some inadequacies. It's because, yeah, we tried, but we couldn't achieve it.
Okay.
So yeah.
Soon, right?
Yeah, last question.
Is it last question? It's like 1.5.
1.5 last question.
Okay. Ask my half question and you ask the last question.
Sure.
Mine isn't technical at all.
Yeah.
So it's in the last this year. Let's do this year. So movies, or a movie you've seen or a TV show you've seen this year that you think has really good editing, and why?
Which Nigerian movie?
Both. It could be any. Just, I'm not gonna box you in.
Yeah.
Hobbs and Shaw.
This is just some. I mean, it might offend you guys. I would just say this one on the side anyway. Avengers, I didn't really like Avengers. Yeah, of course. I knew. I knew.
I need to come back gates. Guys, get out of here. What rubbish is this? Oh, jeez.
Nobody told me.
What the hell? It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
sorry. I just had to put that out there. I'm trying to think of a.
Chuka.
I think I have very, 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 very high standards, and so it's hard for me to find one that has like amazing editing.
How about acceptable editing? I mean,
acceptable.
That is good. And like, hey, they tried. These guys, they did all right. They did okay. You know, Mr. High Standards, give them one.
Mr. I don't like Avengers. Yeah, I know I will beat him outside. It's okay after this podcast. Can't be showing violence.
This guy's what's that one? This guy.
Let me see.
No, the producer.
Feige now. I can't find
Okay, I can't. I honestly cannot think of anyone in 2019, but I can tell you. I can tell you of some previous ones. Sure. Yeah, Whiplash was amazing. The editing of Whiplash was great. I mean, it was there were lots of things that were quite amazing. I love The Dark Knight. The editing for The Dark Knight.
It's weird you would say Dark Knight. I was gonna say another movie by the same director.
Nolan.
Memento.
Memento.
What do you think of the editing? Because that movie was told back to front.
Yeah. Memento is very technical, but I prefer The Prestige, because The Prestige is also similar in the style. Yes. But then The Prestige, I prefer The Prestige. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
So the editing for The Prestige was amazing.
How about Blackberry Babes?
Is that a film? Is that the name of the film? Is that actually the name of the film?
It is.
Blackberry Babes 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3.
They have 3 of those. Wow.
I don't know what's going on.
You need to get off your
I'm
hands.
updated, man.
I need to.
What's wrong with you?
I need to.
Jeez. Okay.
I need to.
Last question.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. My camera guy.
Let me think of a Nigerian.
My camera guy has a question though.
Okay, so
Speak. Yeah, pick up.
I want to know your editing workflow for movies and for TV shows. Like, I mean, when they give you all the files and everything, what do you start doing? How do you organize it? What do you do first? What do you do last? All that stuff.
When they give me all the files, if they give me all the files, I'm like, why didn't you call me before you started shooting? That's the first thing, because then that just kind of helps with the with the process. I mean, okay, with film, it's different, because we spend so much time before any editing happens. I make sure that my guys, when we start with the film, you get the stuff, you digitize and sync. The login, I make sure that happens, and I make sure that everyone watches everything. They watch all the takes, because you have to watch all the takes, so we make sure we watch all of the takes. So that usually will take some time. And so many times I'll tell the client that, okay, it's only going to be ready in about, 4 weeks or 5 weeks. And they're like, no, we want the first cut next week. I'm like, well, there are other people that can do that, but, we have to go through processes. For TV, of course, that's completely different, because
like a 2 week.
Yeah.
2 week turnaround time.
I mean, when you're having to deliver 6-7 episodes in a week, and they're going through different processes, because someone is going to edit it, then send it to someone else, and then that someone else is going to cut it down to, at least acceptable duration, and then send it to me. I'll then refine it, send it to the client. No. I'll refine it, grade it, send it to the sound guy. He sends it back to me, and then send it to the client, and then they send it back with their notes. Hopefully it doesn't affect duration, because if it affects duration, I have to fix that again, send it back to the final mix guy to redo the sound, and he sends it back to me. I send it to the client again for them to accept. Then, I send it to traffic.
Yeah.
And all of that has to happen in less than 2 weeks.
less than 2 weeks.
7 episodes. So, you know, you kind of
It's crazy.
yeah, and
It's
that's why,
crazy.
you know, that's why I have no remorse again. You know, cutting out, you know, stuff that the writers have probably spent 7 hours, you know, trying to get one, you know, nice line.
Sorry, Xavier and Fifi and
Yeah.
Tunde, I'm
Yeah.
really sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then-
your sister really,
yeah.
I think she dislikes it. Yeah.
So last thing, like I said, Final Cut Pro, Adobe, Avid. Or
Avid.
DaVinci.
Avid.
You said Avid, man, dude.
Why like this now?
Avid is Avid.
You
I
know,
have
like,
to mention the other one.
Premiere, you know, like,
Wow.
right.
Wow.
Why Avid? Because of workflow, media management, and it makes you an editor.
Gangbang.
Because I will explain.
These
Avid-
guys do. I don't like Chuka anymore. I don't like you. I'm sorry.
Avid, yeah, of course. Avid was the first application, you know, that went digital, and so that's why, you know, many new age editors don't like Avid, because an old editors like Avid. Sorry. I'm a new age editor also. I'm a new age editor. But, you know, the thing is, you know, so basically it took a lot of the processes from, you know, film editing into Avid. And so that's why you find that, you know, if you want to do something, you do like different processes to do that one thing. With Premiere, you know, you can't really just click something or just drag something and drop it. But what happens is that, you know, there's always, you know, like ripple effects, you know, and you don't even know why. That's why I don't like Premiere. Especially for the very young editors, you know, the thing is, it doesn't help them know why they're using a specific tool. But if you knew why you were using it, you would, you know, intentionally go through all those processes to get it done. You know, rather than just drag and just drop some dissolve. Why using a dissolve? A dissolve is supposed to show that time has passed or like something has passed. But then you have we're here, and then you put dissolve, and it was really just like one line that was, you know, that is like wrong. Anyway, I wouldn't go.
Anyway,
I'm going.
Chuka, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really had fun. Guys, if you want to ask any question, send the email to the industry hosted by James Omokwe at gmail.com. We'll get your question across to
Chuka, you guys get an Avid asking it. The way everybody's like Premiere.
yeah.
Premiere me.
Sorry.
So if you have any questions, send it to the email.
At least Premiere is still better than Final Cut X. Final Cut X is really just, you know, like it's iMovie. It's iMovie.
Okay. Yeah.
Chuka out here now.
Yeah, so you can send an email. Chuka, there's also something we're trying to do. I don't know if you have time, or I mean, we can send the questions to you. We wanted you to do like a video response, but even if you can't, it's okay. But we'll send questions across to you.
All right.
And then we would either address the questions in the next episode, or we'll do separate postings, you know, about them. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching the last episode, and thank you for watching this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe. Instagram, it's the industry _JO. And yeah, the channel. Please put the notification bell so that you know when, you know, new episodes drop. Ethan, sign out.
That's it, man. I'm just worried about my man.
I'm visiting him outside. Don't worry.
So we're gonna
I'm
guide
used to
you on
this.
the way out.
I'm used to
And thanks again for coming through. I think a lot of editors out there, new age editors out there, are once they can swallow their pride. I think there will be some. You did drop some serious nuggets, especially around process. Like I keep telling people. I think someone where I work said something about Adobe, and like there's a reason they have all those software strings and create a bridge to each one.
Yeah.
So even that, there's a process in using the so-called new age. I keep saying that and looking at most of them. They are gonna beat you up.
guys.
Oh Lord. Thanks again for coming. Really appreciate it, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Anytime.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. See you next week. Signing out. Peace.